Ethan Cole had grease under his nails, rust on his jeans, and dreams far too big for his small-town garage in Arizona. He was the kind of mechanic who could fix anything except his own life. His garage was falling apart, the rent was overdue, and his tools were so old that even junkyards wouldn't take them. Yet every night, under the buzzing fluorescent lights, he kept tinkering on something strange, an engine built entirely from discarded parts. He called it Phoenix because, like the bird, it was born from ashes. Every bolt, every pipe, every scrap of metal came from trash piles behind old auto shops. He didn't have money to buy anything new, but he had something rarer, imagination. One day he whispered to himself, "This thing will run, and when it does, my life will change." Most people laughed at him. "Man, you're wasting your time," said his friend Mike, who ran the next-door repair shop. "Nobody's gonna care about some junk engine." But Ethan didn't argue. He just smiled, wiped his hands, and went back to work. For him, it wasn't about proving others wrong. It was about proving himself right. Weeks passed. The summer heat turned his garage into an oven, and his last customer hadn't paid in days. He lived off instant noodles and coffee, sleeping on a torn cot beside his half-finished creation. Yet there was something about that engine. It gave him purpose. Every time he tightened a bolt or adjusted a valve, it felt like he was fixing more than metal. He was rebuilding hope. One evening, while Ethan was welding the final piece, a deep rumbling sound filled the street. A black Ford F-350 truck, polished, lifted, and menacing, pulled up outside. Its tinted windows rolled down, revealing a man in his 60s, wearing a Stetson hat and mirrored sunglasses. "You the guy building engines out of garbage?" the man asked with a smirk. Ethan hesitated. "Depends who's asking." "Name's Walter Briggs," the man said, stepping out. "I own Briggs Automotive. Been hearing about you. Folks say you're either crazy or a genius." Ethan chuckled. "Maybe both." Walter walked into the garage, eyeing the strange-looking engine on the table. It was a Frankenstein of old Ford, Chevy, and Dodge parts, yet it looked clean, balanced, and alive somehow. "You built this thing yourself?" Walter asked. "Every piece," Ethan replied. "No computers, no fancy machines, just patience and junk." Walter smiled faintly. "Mind if I see if it runs?" Ethan nodded, nervous but excited. He connected the last wire, adjusted the fuel line, and turned the key. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a roar like thunder, the engine came to life. The metal hummed, the pistons danced, and the garage filled with the deep growl of perfection. Walter's jaw tightened. He wasn't expecting that. This shouldn't be possible, he muttered, leaning closer. "That's smoother than anything my factory makes." Ethan grinned. "Sometimes what's broken just needs a different kind of repair." Walter turned off the engine and looked at him seriously. "Son, how much do you want for it?" Ethan shook his head. "It's not for sale." Walter raised an eyebrow. "Everything's for sale." "Not this," Ethan said. "This one's proof that I can still do something that matters." Walter studied him quietly, then nodded. "You got guts." "I like that." He handed Ethan a business card. "Come to my factory in Phoenix Monday morning. I've got something for you." When the black truck drove away, Ethan just stood there, the sound of the engine still echoing in his chest. He didn't know whether to believe it or not. Maybe it was just another empty promise, but something about the way Walter had looked at his creation told him it was real. That weekend, Ethan could barely sleep. Monday morning he cleaned up, borrowed Mike's pickup truck, and drove to Phoenix. The Briggs Automotive headquarters looked like a dream. Glass walls, chrome floors, and cars worth more than his garage. Security almost didn't let him in until Walter appeared, smiling like an old cowboy. "Glad you made it, son," Walter said, patting him on the back. "I want to show you something." He led Ethan through a massive workshop filled with engineers and high-tech machines. In the center sat a half-finished prototype, sleek, futuristic, but lifeless. "This is our new eco-engine project," Walter explained. "We've been stuck for 6 months. Can't get it to run right." "But I think you can," Ethan blinked. "Me? I'm just a small-town mechanic," Walter grinned. "Yeah, but you built an engine from trash that purrs like a lion. That's not luck. That's genius." For the next few days, Ethan worked side by side with professional engineers, adjusting, redesigning, and testing. At first, they doubted him, mocking his junkyard techniques. But soon, even the experts started taking notes. His methods, simple yet brilliant, solved problems no computer could. On the 5th day, the prototype finally started. The engine purred perfectly, cleaner and stronger than any before. The entire room broke into applause. Walter just stood there, hands on his hips, pride in his eyes. "Told you he could do it," he said to his stunned team. After the test, Walter called Ethan to his office. "You know," he said, "when I was your age, I built my first car from scrap. People laughed at me too." "You remind me of myself," Ethan smiled modestly. "I just wanted to build something that works." Walter slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a job contract, and a check with more zeros than Ethan had ever seen. "You're our new head of innovation," Walter said. "And that old garage of yours? Consider it rebuilt." On me, Ethan was speechless. "Sir, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll keep creating," Walter replied, "because men like you are what keep this country running." Months later, Ethan's name appeared in magazines and newspapers. The junkyard genius, they called him. But fame never changed him. He still visited his old garage every weekend, where the original Phoenix engine sat proudly on display. It reminded him that even broken dreams could roar back to life if you refused to give up. Sometimes, late at night, a black truck would still pull up outside. Walter would step out, share a coffee, and laugh with the young mechanic who had turned trash into triumph. And every time Ethan heard that familiar engine hum, he smiled, knowing that miracles aren't found in luxury. They're built from the scraps of persistence, belief, and heart.